How is it going, everybody? So I survived my podcast slash interview thing that I had, and it went really great. It was really amazing, and I didn't do an intro for it because I just kind of panicked a little bit and was freaking out and kind of rushed straight into it. As you guys will see, we really just dove straight into talking. There was no formalities, there was no hey, how you doing, there was no introducing, so there is a lot of just, you know, not professional things done here because I am not a professional, but you know, this was a lot of fun and a step into that direction that I was really excited to start. And yeah, hopefully you guys aren't too mean in the comments of how nervous and unprofessional I am. Please just hold off. It was really big for me to do this. But yeah, my special guest was Jason Ragosta. He's a writer, director, illustrator, and his work is amazing. You guys should definitely check him out. I'll put his information here. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy today's video. It's a little short. The conversation got cut short because I've never installed Zoom before, so I didn't know you had to pay for Zoom to extend for, you know, long talks. So that's what happened here. But anyway, regardless, hopefully you guys enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys want to see more of these. So let's just roll the bumper.
Unpaid rental, unpaid rental, unpaid rental.
How's it going? It's good
great.
to see you.
This is great. Yeah, it's finally nice to finally talk to you. I would say face to face, but this isn't quite that yet. But,
this counts. Yeah. This counts.
Yeah,
digital, virtual, face to face.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But yeah, thank you. It really means a lot that you took your time to go out of your way and have time to talk to me. Trust me.
Of course, no. Thanks. Thanks so much for reaching out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I find it important to find any type of creative out there and just figure out what's going on with them. But yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, trust me, I know that you're doing me a favor by reaching out to me and, you know, joining me on here. So it really means a lot. Thank you.
Look, Brian, you're doing great stuff. I saw some of your videos. They're very cool. I really loved watching you watch, what was it? Ghostbusters for the first time. That was amazing.
That was so fun. Oh, God, I didn't even want to get into that. That was so fun. Like, that was amazing.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of value in it for someone like me. Because, you know, when I was growing up, it was in the theater, you know what I mean? So we experienced the whole, like, cult of personality, like, massive thing that happened from it. But, like, watching you watch it made me remember what was awesome about it when I first watched it. And I think it helps, like, an older filmmaker like me kind of, like, tune in to, like, how an audience nowadays might respond to, like, the films we make. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I know that a lot of my generation doesn't really pay attention to things like, you know, practical effects or CGI, for matter of fact, or just anything that involves old school filmmaking techniques that aren't really quite used nowadays. And I mean, practical effects, just that alone is something that's running out. Like, we don't ever see those, and when it's used, it still looks amazingly beautiful every time. Yeah, but it is definitely you know, a film like Ghostbusters is like one of a kind. It's hard to get those nowadays.
It's true. It's a rare thing.
Yeah.
Every once in a while we get surprised, which is cool.
Yeah. I mean,
I also watched your Five Nights at Freddy's one because I was like, I don't get that movie. I don't understand why it did so well. So I was like, okay, I'll watch Brian watch it and maybe he'll get it. And then you were having the same problem with it that I was. So I was like, must be just the kids that like it.
Yeah, when I went into it, because I've never known anything about it. I've never heard of it besides like the games growing up. And I was so just baffled by how confusing the story was and why everybody loved it and why, you know, it's outselling almost all the horror movies that came out this year.
It's crazy.
It makes no sense. But I mean, congrats to them for making that.
Yeah, I think what happens is when families go to the movies, it costs a lot of money.
So
that might be part of it. But like, all I wanted was just way more, like 80% more Matthew Lillard, and I would have loved that movie.
Oh my God, yes.
Just make it from his perspective, and I'm good.
He was, I mean, the little screen time he had, he was amazing. He was my favorite part of the movie. It was just all of the Scream references were just exactly what I needed to get by through the movie. It was perfect.
It's so good. And then there were like YouTubers in there that I didn't even know about that you pointed out. And I was like, okay, that's cool. They're like kind of doing that to get to the younger crowd. Cause like my three nephews, they just park in front of YouTube and would just watch it 24 hours a day.
Oh
Like
yeah.
they just watch people play Among Us with different skins, and they're like enthralled. I'm like, this is crazy. I don't even know.
It's the new world now. I mean, I was a little bit older at the time, but I definitely grew up on YouTube. That's my main source of like social media and kind of news at this point. I mean, I get a lot of my movie news or what's happening, and like I learned about the SAG strike from, I mean, YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn everything there. And I mean, the YouTube content creators that are in movies nowadays, it's kind of odd to think that, like, I saw Scream 5 in theaters. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but two YouTubers popped on screen and I cheered. It was the biggest cheer I had throughout the whole movie. I was like, this is amazing. I love to see that they're here, and it's awesome. And it's just interesting that you know, content creators can help, you know, kind of gather a new audience into theaters, which is definitely needed right now. I mean, theaters are just running out.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, my theory is like once AI's kind of just like devastated filmmaking as we know it, like what I see is like a lot of filmmakers like me or like whoever is creating content, like we'll probably be making content in smaller like chunks and putting it out on YouTube channels and monetizing it that way. And it'll just be what people are into, and people will make money. You know, it'll be crazy.
That's not a bad idea. I've seen the Russo brothers. I mean, I believe it was John Watts who got his kind of start on YouTube, but the Russo brothers, they have a YouTube channel now where they had this huge run where they promoted short filmmakers, and it was really cool. They had like a contest and everything. But I definitely see that being the way that things go for filmmakers and writers and such.
Yeah, because like there's YouTube creators out there that are making way more money than indie filmmakers.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
you know? It's like crazy.
It's insane that the money and respect that they get referred to as then, like, you know, actual filmmakers and writers who've done amazing work for years.
Yeah, it's just crazy because it just comes down to where's the money coming from.
Yeah, you know? That is true.
And the cool thing about YouTube is there's a direct, you know, if you put the time in and you actually build an audience, there's like a capital there that you can draw from that then make crazier and crazier content. You know,
I mean, it makes sense. I was always a horror fan as a kid. I just always grew up watching horror movies, and I wasn't really comfortable being a horror fan until I watched this YouTube channel, Dead Meat, where they just they had this huge audience and just wide knowledge of every horror made and just how things are done. And it felt sincere to be welcome in a community where you usually, I mean, as a kid, for me, I got, you know, criticized for just watching Halloween 2 every day, just staring at the screen this far away.
Perfectly reasonable thing to
do. There's nothing wrong with it. Didn't need to be hospitalized at all. No.
Which Halloween 2 was it? Was it Rob Zombie's or was it the original one?
Yeah, Carpenter's my favorite.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nowadays you have to ask because there's like 3.
That is true. I mean, I will say, speaking of Rob Zombie, I watched Sinphony earlier today just to get caught up on your work, and loved it, by the way. I just love the creep show-ness of it. I thought that was really cool.
I know, I saw your shirt. I was like, yeah,
I mean, Creepshow is the man. I love Creepshow, but
so good.
Yeah, I loved that you had kind of a Rob Zombie music video vibe into your movie, and it was just really cool. It added like a real sense of like grindhouse grit to it. It wouldn't say needed for the film, but it added a flavor that was really appreciated. It was really cool.
Yeah, I love Rob Zombie stuff. I have so much fun. Like, I think the Munsters got a bad rep because, like, if Shudder had done it as a Halloween special, everybody would have loved it. They would have lost their minds over it. I think the way that it was sold and like put out there is what hurt it, because it's actually a lot of fun.
No, I believe it.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. Like,
I remember when it came out, I was in Nashville at the time, just on a family trip, and I was so excited to see the trailer come out. I was like, oh, this looks like something it's right down my alley. I'm not the biggest Rob Zombie fan, but I will say his Halloween 1 was something that I really loved. It was really cool. And I mean, House of 1,000 Corpses, I mean, you just can't really get too much better than that.
Yep.
And he has
Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, Devil's Rejects, of course. He has an amazing vision and he has great talent. I just feel like he gets kind of, I wouldn't say underutilized, but he gets kind of shoved into a corner which happens a lot to creatives behind the scenes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just comes down to how much money the movies make, and then you're either drifting away from the money or closer to it.
That's
how
the
it
weird
goes.
thing with Hollywood. It's like you can have this criteria of your work, you have this stack list, but if the money's talking, then you can't really do anything else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is like, yeah, I mean, they spend money to make money, and it's just how it works. It's just business at that point.
Well,
but
the marketing is also something that's very
that's a
lackluster,
big
and
thing.
especially a lot of horror movies nowadays.
It can be very hit or miss. Like I had a conversation with some horror filmmakers just last night about this, where a lot of times, films are marketed independently of the creators. So they will sometimes, if they don't understand a film or they don't like know what to do with it, they'll just kind of misrepresent it in the marketing to trick people to get there the first day.
Yeah.
But sometimes they bring in the wrong people, and then the word of mouth is bad, and it can like hurt a film, which is unfortunate. And there are some great cult films that we all love that did very badly when they're first released, like Blade Runner, for instance. Like, there's a director's cut now, but the original one had it was more of a horror film that they tried to match kind of Alien, and like there's a part where he gushes the guy's eyes out, and you see the blood come out, and like you have like Decker's thoughts the whole time.
Wow,
like it's a Marlowe thing, and there's like a happy ending that looks like Brazil at the end. It's so weird. Like the theatrical one is so odd.
It sounds very reminiscent of like what happened to Event Horizon and all that, because I remember that because I did an episode on that on the channel, and I've never heard of it at that time, and I loved it immediately.
It's amazing. Hellraiser in space.
Hellraiser in space. It's not that hard to create. Like it's such a great
with
thing
Sam Neill. Like it just doesn't get better.
It's honestly amazing.
It also allowed us to have a triple feature of Possession, In the Mouth of Madness, and an Event Horizon, which is just glorious. So
I had this pitch the other day because me and my brother, we just make like random movie pitches, and I was like, it's not that hard to make, Freddy in space. I believe a Nightmare on Elm Street in space wouldn't be that hard, and it makes
he hasn't been
sense.
there. Jason's been there. Pinhead's been there.
Leprechaun's been there.
Leprechaun has definitely been there. It's like, how is Leprechaun in space before Freddy? There's something wrong here.
It doesn't add up at all.
But we did get the Freddy versus Jason movie, which was awesome. So
amazing.
It balances itself out.
That should have been a Rob Zombie remake, if anything. That
would have been wild.
That one really caters to his touch. I believe that should be his next one.
There you go.
Somebody needs to give him a phone call.
Yeah, I also loved Lords of Salem. That one was really good. I thought.
I was saving
about
that
witches
one.
And stuff. Yeah, there's some hardcore witch stuff in that you do not see in other stuff that I think was really cool. What he did with it. So yeah.
What are you really into? So I guess my question is, are you into horror movies that are being made now, or are you still really sticking with the classics and just older horror movies?
I love all horror films, or actually all films. Like I watch everything, but like, yeah, I mean, I think the classic ones are awesome. There's so many different generations of them. They're so different, some of my favorite ones are like, Carpenter's The Fog. And like Slither by James Gunn before he was like doing superhero stuff. There's so much great stuff. The Devils, by Ken Russell. A lot of Altered States by Ken Russell. He did some really cool stuff. If you haven't gotten to him yet, Cemetery Man. Have you ever seen that?
Yep.
Yeah, I just picked up the 4K version of that from Blu-ray, which I'm really excited about. I love what's happening with Terrifier, like Terrifier 2, the way it kind of, because like Terrifier before Terrifier 2, a lot of people don't realize like it was just a black sky with no stars. Like even the final girl in the first one is just horribly disfigured and a monster by the end of it. So, bringing in this heroine and this kind of Valkyrie as like the shining light within that realm was so cool. And then I'm excited to see what Damien does, expanding it into the third one, because it seemed like, I know in some of the earlier ones, like All Hallows Eve and stuff, it showed that there's a larger mythology and these other characters with art that haven't come into the movies yet. So maybe we'll get to see some of that in the third one.
Did you
cool.
happen to see the teaser that they released for the
Yeah.
third one? Yeah, that was that makes me really excited. I love a good holiday horror movie. Like, they're really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like actually I've been writing one for a while that I'm really excited about.
Really?
It's a horror musical.
Okay.
A horror Christmas musical that I'm super excited about, that hopefully I'll get to eventually. It involves like puppets, kind of like Gremlins. It's gonna be fun.
Okay, that kind of sounds like oh no. Oh, I'm gonna forget his name. That sucks. The tall funny man from How I Met Your Mother. He had a whole
Oh, yeah. He had like his Dracula musical. Yeah.
So that's exactly what it reminds me of. Perfect.
Which we got a kind of a little taste of in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Wow, yeah, you really love your movies.
I do. I'd seen that one way too many times.
It wasn't until recently that I saw the John Carpenter's The Fog, and first of all, how he was allowed to make that is insane to me.
It's a different age, you know. It's just a different age. Like, and Jamie Lee Curtis in it. She's like, "Are you weird?" It's like, yeah, they're drinking while they're driving around. They're just like,
Tom Atkins doesn't help one bit.
He's amazing. Like, I am a diehard Halloween 3 guy. Just to be clear,
yes, okay.
Like, nothing against Michael Myers, but like, that film is such a weird unicorn film that shouldn't even exist, and it's so glorious, and Tom Atkins is just amazing in it. And yeah, I really hope they get into some of the Silver Shamrock stuff in the series. You know, we'll see. But
it was really it was disappointing to hear that David Gordon Green got really bullied out of the third one, because he had a lot of the Silver Shamrock implemented in that one.
Yeah, because they kind of set it up in the first one. I actually like the third Halloween film by David Gordon Green.
Yeah, I like all of them. Yeah.
Like, for me, what's interesting is because Kills, I admit, put me off. Like, that movie, although, once again, even with Kills, the opening of Kills is one of the coolest things ever, where they recreated the old film, and they had like Jim Cummings in there, and like all that. I wish the whole movie was that, honestly, or more of it. Like, it was so good. But yeah, once they're all like, evil dies tonight, and it's like this goofy mob, like, randomly chasing this janitor that doesn't look anything like Michael Myers and gives no indication of why they would think it was him. And, you know, kind of benching Jamie Lee Curtis for the whole film. I was like, all right, this is making me sad. But with the third one, though, what I thought was cool is that film's almost cool just on its own. It's got this super indie, cool vibe. I think the only thing I would have done differently is, instead of making this new guy that was never set up and not a big part of the series the guy, I would have made it her granddaughter.
Everybody thought that.
Then she couldn't just kill her, right? So what would happen? She'd end up in the asylum at the end.
Oh, that's a good one. You would have pissed a lot of people off, but that's a good one.
But it would have been so good. And what an arc. You know what I mean? From her being the damsel in distress in the first one to that. And then it almost kind of resonates with Halloween 4 and 5, right? With Danielle Harris. It would have been cool, but I still love it. Like, I love the vibe of it. And, you know, I know some people hate it, but I was like, okay, I actually got into it. I was into it.
I mean, like you said, the second that it started, I noticed a Halloween 3 font. I was like, this is going to be a different movie. Already setting that in my mind. And then it just starts, and it looks completely different. But, you know, as it goes on, you're like, let me learn a little bit more. Let's just keep feeding into this. But it's a good movie. I generally defend that movie every day. I love that movie.
I think the only thing that is a little tough is, like, when that guy goes in and wrestles with Michael Myers and like comes out with the masks. I think he could have gotten the mask a different way. It's a little weird, but yeah, you know, it was cool.
I mean, my dream project, I wouldn't say project, but I always wanted to start filmmaking by starting a Halloween short film. I always wanted to do that. And it just, I think there's a lot of, not necessarily, I think we need to take Michael Myers out of Halloween. You know, let's get Michael Myers in some Christmas
weather. Just give him a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just give him a couple Halloweens off, you know.
But do you have any you know, dream projects that you would love to do?
Oh yeah.
Not a lot of them being horror, but just movies in general.
Yeah. I think for me, The Great and Secret Show by Clive Barker.
Okay.
That book was one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorite books, like Daphne and both Daphne and Pearl by Josh Mallerman are just
Hmm.
like they're probably already getting made. They're like so good.
I would, yeah.
Um, like Daphne is kind of like It Follows mixed with like, oh God, I don't know what, but it's just so good. Like she's like this like death metal chick that's like 7 feet tall that can only be seen by the person she's coming after.
Oh yeah.
And she just like literally rips these like basketball girls into like cardboard cutouts of themselves. It's crazy. And then Pearl is kind of like, it's like Babe if Babe was Carrie.
Yeah, okay. That's okay.
It's insane. Or like it's like Carrie slash Professor X, but it's a pig
But it's
who is like
okay.
horribly scarred by like a cigarette burn in its eye when it was like a baby and hates humanity, you know.
Horror gets to some weird places.
It is amazing. And these books too, like both of those books, and this is the guy, Josh Mallerman's the one who wrote Bird Box, which is what that
Hmm.
Netflix thing was based on. What's funny is like everybody knows him from that, but his other stuff is so different and so cool. That and then there's like even one of his novellas in Goblin, which is one of his like collections. It's
Hmm.
like six novellas that make up a novel. There's one called Presto about this little kid that's really into magic,
Yeah.
and it's almost like a mix of Something Wicked This Way Comes and The Lord of Illusions by Clive Barker, and I
Okay.
love it. I love it so much.
Well,
So those are a few of them, and then the Invisibles by Grant Morrison would always be
oh,
one of
Grant
my.
Morrison's good.
Yeah,
Anything from his shelf is honestly just it's almost gold
yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, and I met him once, and it was cool. I showed him my because like when I read The Invisibles, it was like a metaphysical journey
Hmm.
in my life. You know what I mean? Like it affected me. Like I was seeing it everywhere, and I had this little leather bound like sketchbook that I did all these drawings of like Quimper and King Mob and Ragged Robin and like had all this like crazy stuff and quotes in it. And I showed it to Grant and he loved it. And he did this like magical symbol in the back of it, like blessing it. And I was like,
it
the
it
magician has spoken.
it really is refreshing to see somebody with your enthusiasm be in the industry because a lot of people you can just tell that they're doing it not necessarily for the money but just because they know that this is their way to get by.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people like it's a tough industry. A lot of dreams are just murdered in front of you,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
savagely and very slowly over decades. So I think what you see is a lot of people who've just kind of gotten a little maybe jaded or
Hmm.
cynical. And sometimes you need that tough layer to survive. But I do think, especially within horror, a lot of the people that do it really do have a love for it, and
Hmm.
there are people out there that you see like just genuinely like love it, and
Yeah.
and it's so cool, being a part of that community, getting to know more of the
Hmm.
other creators like has been amazing. And everybody's just so nice and so into everything and supportive,
Hmm.
like I think horror is probably one of the best communities on Twitter, and it's hard to
Yep.
even say that like
No,
because
yeah.
Twitter is just this like monstrous like blob of hate in most directions, but not in the horror section.
Yeah,
It's
no, I 100% agree because I wouldn't say this year, but I want to say maybe last year, I finally found the horror community on Twitter and I just could not stop telling people about it. I was like, these are the nicest people I've ever met. Like, it is really,
our demons are excised on
yeah,
screen. We're good,
it is really insane just how friendly, like you said, everyone is and just is willing to collaborate and just exchange ideas.
Yeah, like one of the coolest experiences on Symphony was we actually had a panel at Comic-Con at the special edition
Hmm.
during COVID, in like November, I think in 2021.
Oh, wow.
And so that was an amazing thing. And we, our film came together over a Clubhouse, the like
Hmm.
social app. And so we had known like all these people through Clubhouse, but nobody had seen each other because we had all been locked inside because of
Yeah.
COVID. So we go to Comic-Con, and there's like 30 to 40 people there from Clubhouse that we knew,
Hmm.
that we saw in person for the first time. And it was like a family reunion kind of thing. And then like after that happened, we went back to LA and we had like a kind of friends and family screening of Symphony at the Landmark. and there was like 100 amazing people from the horror community there.
Yeah.
That like other filmmakers, like some of our favorite actresses, like Bonnie Aarons and
I
like
was
Kelly
gonna bring up
Maroney
Bonnie. Yeah, I
and
saw.
Barbara. Like it was just like, oh my God, and we got to meet them, and they loved it. It was so cool. And yeah, and everybody was just so supportive. Like watching Symphony with an audience is actually a lot of fun because people get into it, because like it's not just one thing. Like each filmmaker did something completely different with horror. Some of it's funny, some of it's sweet, some of it's gory as hell, and savage. I guess I took one of those slots, but yeah.
I mean, no, Symphony is definitely, now that I finally watched it, it's going to be my Halloween rewatch, because who doesn't love a good anthology series? And they're always amazing. It's hard to come by a really good one, and one that kind of sticks with you. I was watching it while editing a video, and I could not stop staring at the arms inside the pregnant belly, and then the baby. I could not.
Nicole's, yeah, it was great.
That was. I mean, I will say my favorite story, if I had to pick one out of all of them, was the one with the abusive father and the child. That one was a really good one. I like that one a lot.
That was Greg and Wes's, I think. Are you talking about The Keeper? The one in the kind of family goes and stays at the... Yeah. That was very cool. And man, that one finishes really strong.
Yes,
too.
it does. That's what made me kind of solidify the idea of like, oh, this belongs on Creepshow. This is definitely a Shudder exclusive.
That one's totally like Creepshow or like Tales from the Crypt. It's definitely classic in a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
But I saw, since we were talking about your enthusiasm and all that, I saw that you recently worked with Blair. And how was that?
Blair Bathory is amazing, and like the team that her and Jed Shepard put together on that film is like insane. Like they have the DP from like Annabelle, and like,
oh wow,
like
I didn't know
art
that.
director from like I think it was somebody from the art department. It was from It Follows, and like it's just like this amazing group of people. And I just, Jed had asked me to help Blair out, and I've known Blair for a while, and she's awesome. And yeah, like I did the storyboards and kind of like an animatic that helped with like some of the camera transitions, because she was doing some really cool stuff with that. And then I'm also doing a little Easter egg thing that I can't talk too much about yet, but it's like an animated illustration that I'm working on that's going to kind of be hidden in there that we may use for some of the publicity for it once it comes out. But yeah, like Blair's worked a lot of layers into it, and it's super cool. We can't wait for... I actually saw a cut of it today, and it's looking awesome. The sound design alone is like super creepy. I can only imagine what it would be like in a theater, but yeah, she's killing it. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for her. I'm excited to see more of content creators actually who care about the subject really go out there and create, because like I spoke earlier, Blair's
having a killer year, because she also wrote the script for a feature that our buddy Alex Neuer just directed, Love is the Monster, as well. So yeah, she's got a lot of cool stuff going on right now.
That's impressive. Like that's really impressive. I'm very happy for her.
And she's so nice. Like working with her was so much fun. Because like I work with a lot of different people, and some of them are more of a like hassle than others, but everything with Blair has just been fun, and she's just super into what she's doing, super creative, and super excited about everything. So those are the kind of people you want to work with, the ones that make you want to do more of the filmmaking rather than wanting to like stick your head in the ground or something.
Well, because filmmaking is supposed to be something that's very collaborative and really fun, and everybody's supposed to have their own voice in some way. And when you get on those sets that don't really allow that and just kind of have their one-way direction, it's not fun for anybody. It's not really a collaborative experience like it's supposed to be. You want it to be very family friendly in a sense of like working together. But I saw while I was trying to do research that you went to the Maryland School of the Arts.
The Maryland Institute College of Art. Yeah, Micah.
Did you grow up there, or?
I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay.
So I was on the East Coast, and Maryland or Baltimore was like 6 hours away from home, so that got me far enough away where I could kind of see what it was like to live on my own a little bit in a pretty crazy city. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Baltimore is a weird place. Like the sky is kind of this dark red blood color,
Hmm.
and then you hear gunshots a lot.
Yep.
Like it's like on The Wire. Like there's one season where like the kids hear the gunshot and they're like Glock 9 millimeter, and it's like, like you do hear those gunshots. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think our dorm was built by like somebody who built prisons, but they built it to keep people out rather than to keep people
Okay.
in. Baltimore is a weird place.
Well, yeah,
It's
I had
very
asked because I'm currently based in Maryland, so I was like,
weird.
oh, that's
Okay.
really cool.
Yeah. We would go to this place called Cantlers that was really good that had the blue crabs.
Hmm.
And it was like right on the water, and they had the like picnic tables, and they'd roll out the brown paper and
Oh,
they just
yeah,
dump
yeah.
like
I mean,
dozens of crabs down.
That's a very Maryland thing everywhere you
Yeah.
go. It is.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely do. I appreciate you again coming by. It has been great to talk to you. We only have about
great.
10 minutes left because
Okay.
Zoom. But I definitely want to do this again. This has been a
Cool.
lot of fun. But I want to do a kind of. I want to do like a game a little bit.
Okay.
So as if you have a smartphone, correct? You have an iPhone or
I
anything?
do. Yeah.
So this game is called What's Next, and so what I want you to do is when you go to type a message, you know how you have like the suggested words and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
I want you to type the middle word 5 times, and then whatever words come up, what would the title be or the phrase or whatever, and I kind of want you to do a little backstory on like a movie for it.
What word do I start with, or do I just?
I don't know. What word do you want to start with? Oh yeah, how about you pick that one? How about you pick the first word?
And we're trying to come up with an idea for a film, or what are we doing?
So you'll get a phrase out of all of the 5 words that you select, and then you come up with a backstory from that movie.
Okay, so what if I try Alchemist? Nothing comes up. There are no suggestions. Maybe it was a bad word because it's too specific.
I kind of have a good title. All right, so I got
Okay.
Okay, I'll do 5. Alchemist and the rest are.
And the rest are?
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Okay.
So out of those words, what kind of movie can you create in your mind?
Well, I can make any movie out of just there being an alchemist at all in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it makes me think of Rosemary's Baby and like
Ooh,
all of them
yeah.
witches, that kind of thing. So it could be an alchemist that's going up against a coven of witches
Okay.
to cause or prevent the end of the world or the coming of raising of some kind of deity or demon. That could always be a fun time.
I mean, I'm sold.
Yeah, or we could go Lovecraftian, and it's like a Lovecraft cult that's trying to raise one of the old ones, and the alchemist is like almost like an alchemist detective that's trying to like stop that from happening or find out what's going on, and could end up being the vessel that the old one ends up being like resurrected into, like a la Wicker Man, and then just it ends with him defeated and becoming this
I'm sorry.
thing that will bring madness upon the world.
Did you already have this predetermined? I said those words maybe a minute ago, and you came up with a whole novel.
This is how whatever's in this head works. Yeah, this is what I do.
And I'm sorry I completely forgot to mention because we were just too busy just rambling about movies. But I love your artwork, by the way. It is some of my favorite. My favorite artist, because I'm a huge comic book nerd, is Alex Jones, and your artwork is very similar, and I love it a lot. It is really nice.
I love comics. Like literally all around me in here is like graphic novels. I think all of the walls. I even got like I think you could see it in the corner. Like see the thing with the sticker on it. I got like a full size library rolling rack just for my graphic novels that I haven't read yet. Because I'm obsessed.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So you can see that's just like one little section of it because it's got multiple tiers. So yeah. All right. I love comics, and I've done some, and I want to do more.
Oh, you have done some? Oh yeah. You know what? I did see that. Yeah. Can you give us the names for those so the people can know?
Yeah. So like it's kind of like a private printing that I did as part of because I did a film called ZTV. Sympathy for the Devil, and it did well in a lot of horror festivals, won awards and stuff. Is really cool, but it's part of a larger universe I'm creating. And I did the first issue of a comic book called ZTV Undead Empire that I like brought piles of to the film festivals and had them on the on the desk. I'd sign them for people, and it's like they always have a table that like you can put postcards or whatever for the films and stuff. So I had that there. I actually got some meetings out of it, which was cool.
Oh, that's really great.
It's a project I'm going to revisit at some point, because at one point we were pitching it around as a television series, and they're, we pitched it to like Netflix, and they're like, "You're not Zack Snyder," and I was like, "I know, I'm sorry, someday."
Oh, that's
because he had just done like Army of the Dead or whatever, which is why it was topical. But yeah, I think we'll come back to that. It'll happen.
I would love to see that, but
it's got some crazy stuff in it. Yeah.
Just do me a favor and just tell, is there anything that you have working on right now?
Yeah, well, depending on when this comes out, we have a screening in Salem, Massachusetts for Sinphony on December 7th.
Okay.
Which is very soon. And then, we're going to keep trying to have like events with Sinphony, like watch parties and like more screenings potentially. So, if people want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, they'll know about that. And then there's a lot of other projects that I can't talk about yet that I'm hoping,
of course,
will come to pass, but we'll see. But yeah, that's the best way though, is probably Instagram's probably the best one, but Twitter's good too.
I'll put
at least
Instagram
for now
on the screen when we're done.
Yeah, until Twitter just like combusts into flames or whatever's going to happen to
That'll
it.
Be
it
soon.
may be reclaimed by the devil. We don't know what happened.
All right, Jason. Well, it was great talking to you.
So nice talking to you, Brian. Thanks so much.
Hopefully we get to do this again soon.
Whenever, just hit me up. I'm always down to talk. All right.
All right, see you. You too.